Hi, this is the Vibrant Entrepreneur Podcast, and I'm your host, Christy Oshita. Hi, thanks for joining us today at the Vibrant Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Christy. So today we are going to talk about a very big problem I believe that is stopping us from being great entrepreneurs, whether it's because we are working on a new project or a new product as an entrepreneur, and we currently have a business going, or more likely if you're in that startup phase and you're starting either over again, which is where I am, or you're starting a totally new business. The problem is getting the energy to get past that first phase of proving that that the product concept you have is the right fit, and then getting enough buy-in to prove it, enough data, and getting your first paycheck, your first customer. That's the hardest step, I think. It's also sometimes the most exciting, but a lot of us talk about ideas, but we don't actually do it. And why? Lots of us will say, well, they're procrastinating, or they don't have the balls, or like it's just not in them. The way I look at it is that it's hard for anybody. But if we can break down the particular pieces that make us stop going forward, that make us lose our energy. So I focus it on losing energy versus just this concept of procrastination. I believe a lot of us can get our product out there faster. So here's my story. Before I started Alana Life and Fitness, I was working by myself. I was living with my boyfriend, and I would stay at home and work on my new project by myself all day. And not to mention, in this room, literally, we were living in this building called the Mercedes House, and it was facing the AT&T building. Like literally, it was an antenna building, and it'd make all of this noise that we could never open our windows. So and it was the winter time. So it was middle of winter, I had to sit in a closed room with no windows, with no friends or people, trying to make my business work. I was lucky because I had time, but I didn't have anything else, any other support, and I just got myself really depressed. It was one of the hardest times I had, despite being comfortable, you could say, because I had the ability, my tennis school that I had started was doing well, so I could focus on this. Yet it was so hard for me to maintain my energy. And I even tried the lean startup. I tried to interview people, and I found it, for what I was doing in the environment I was doing it in, I found it to be slow, and I lost a lot of energy. Now, what was my answer? I'll share that with you at the end of the podcast. So the answer is, we are going to use Oshita Vibrant Energy Formula to bullet out different things that you can do as an entrepreneur getting started with your startup that will help you maintain your energy. The first thing is, we have to think about where we put our attention. We have to keep our attention towards positive things, towards where we see ourselves going with our business and our work. We have to make sure we keep our focus on positive things, towards where we want to go with our vision and our work. So if we see ourselves waking up every day, being productive, feeling positive, and we see in a year or in 6 months, in a month, achieving certain milestones, it feels more real, and our body will naturally imitate what we see. So on that token of visualizing, we have to think about positive things and see what the end will look like. The great thing about visualizing what we see as the finished result, whether it's what we finish in a today or in a week, is that it gives us answers and helps us clarify what we're trying to do. The more we clarify about what we're doing, the more clear what we're doing is. It's almost like an outline. When I think to myself, okay, well, today I really want to get more done toward my podcast. So what is that? Well, I do need to, I see myself setting up the video camera, setting up the light box, setting up the microphone. All of a sudden, those are all things to do lists. And then I start thinking, well, where are the light bulbs? oh, the light bulbs are in the other closet. I better get that. I better get that cord. And all of a sudden, you have more actionables. You start with a vision and you go backwards towards those actionables, and that helps you get started, and all of a sudden it feels easy and you're ready to go, and that gives you energy. Another place to put your attention is positive thoughts and saying positive things and affirmations, which you've probably heard of, but it's true. I talked about in our last podcast how we don't have necessarily control over our thought process, but we do have control over redirecting our attention to things. So we have to be conscious about the negative thought, redirect it to a positive thought, but actually, I'm going to actually reverse on that. That's a common thought process. Oh, well, think about positive. Instead, what you want to do is take a deep breath. And breathe out. That will naturally put you in a positive mindset and then give you the positive thoughts you have, so that it's not a tennis battle back and forth in our brain, which is never fun when you're alone and you have a startup you're working on. The second thing you can do is create a plan for yourself. It could be start off with a very general plan. If you're doing a 1-year plan, you don't have to go farther out really than 1 year, because you don't know what's going to happen. But what you want to do is get more specific over the next 6 weeks. The big mistake that a lot of us entrepreneurs make, and everybody, is that we expect us to get so much done in the first 2 months, 3 months, or even 6 months. The fact is that first 6 weeks to even 2 to 3 months, there's going to be so much sludge you're going through, so much mud of just maybe whether you're talking to your friends and family, making small changes in your computer setup, your life, rethinking how you want to do things. That process feels so slow where you're setting yourself up to actually take action. So maybe you're trying to get to the point. For me, I'm trying to get to the point of making phone calls and talking to my particular market that I think I'm going to be working with. So these are contractors, and I need to start serving them. What's your biggest problem? And I haven't even gone there. I've been thinking about this business for almost 8 months. And it's frustrating. It is. But I need to visualize the fact that there's going to be things I need to do to get myself to even taking action on the project. Just getting started, getting myself there, taking priorities off of my checklist, changing my my office space, talking to mentors. Those are all important things that help set the foundation. And I'm not saying it's a good reason to procrastinate longer, but I think we need to give ourselves the space to set up our life so that we are able to 100% work on our project. So realistic timeframes is important. Number 3, hang out with people who are already living the vision you're after. Maybe they're at a certain phase in their business, a similar business, or also a startup, so that you can feel the realness of it. You can see it's true, and that people just like you are living that dream. I don't even want to use the term dream, but they're living that reality. What's challenging when we have a startup is that getting 1 step forward seems doable, 2 steps forward seems doable, but for some reason, understandably, 30 steps forward seems impossible. It's just another 2 steps, So we have to bring our attention to that reality, but also know that that's how our brain's going to play a game on us. It's going to feel impossible. So that means try to keep that vision alive by hanging out, going to things where they're living that vision, and you're reminded that it's a real vision that you can have. So that brings me to the next thing, which is the next energy circle in the formula is love. So love gives us energy, and we should never ever downplay love. Love is ultimately the biggest reason for the energy formula, because attention is love. So pretty much it starts with love. And if we think that we're weak because we can't get through the day by ourselves, doing surveys maybe by ourselves and just working with Excel, well, you're not weak. That's what I said to myself. I worked months by myself just doing administrative stuff and editing videos and stuff, and I felt terrible. And I felt terrible because I didn't have that attention, love from other people during my day. Let me tell you something. We humans need love all the time. Not just at the end of the day and kiss from our husband or boyfriend or partner. We need love throughout the day, in the morning. In fact, we need love all the time. And sometimes, yes, the love needs to come from us. But the truth is, we're humans. We need to connect with people. We need to feel the love. So we need to do things to feel the love depending on your personality throughout the day. And do not look at it as something bad. Instead, look at it as something that must be done. And because you know it, you will integrate it through periods of your day. So different examples of ways, a way to maintain love is to have find a big fan, whether it's going to be your cousin, hey Joe, or it's going to be your sister or a good friend who's understands the industry and likes what you do. Find a fan and share with them what you're doing. Maybe you can text them what you're working on, text them what you got done, or join a group, because that will help you feel motivated. Motivated during the part where it feels shitty. Okay, so we need to get past that part. We need to keep going because we need to go through the part where we're not feeling that great. So maybe it could be your boyfriend. Also, it could be your partner. There could be multiple people who share the love with you. Another way is if you can find some type of group on Facebook or social media where you can share little things that you're working on, and people will, where you know for sure you're going to get some love, like positive feedback or positive encouragement, then do that. Think of the different ways you can feel good about what you're doing, and don't think of it as a waste of time or just going to slow you down. Something quick so that you can feel encouraged and keep going throughout the day, or maybe if it's just at the end of the day. The third thing to make sure that you're feeling energetic for your project through the startup phase is making sure you have energy, physical energy. So the third circle is energy. So that's it, basically attention, love, and energy are all combined. Attention is love, and attention creates energy. So it's all going to flow together by having the things we just spoke about. But talking about physical energy, you need to exercise. I don't care if you're like, oh my God, I'm starting the next Uber and I need all the time I can have. So you're going to burn out and you're not going to feel good. Whether you do at the minimum 10 minutes in the morning and then maybe you do a 20-minute walk, you need to stretch, you need to work, you need to use your Kegel muscles, you need to squeeze your ass. I put butt and ass together, it's bad. You need to do some push-ups, you need to jump up, you need to move your organs, and that will give you energy throughout the day, and it'll honestly clear your mind, allow you to let go of stress, and just physically handle the challenges of being an entrepreneur better. So find that time, preferably 30 minutes a day, but if it has to be 10, find that time to exercise, and also what I think of it as energy spurts. So Popeye had his energy spurt from spinach. You have to eat your leafy greens. You have to drink a lot of water. You need to drink a lot of water. You need to make sure you're eating things that help you stabilize your energy. So don't eat a lot of sugar. If you find yourself getting tired in the afternoon, what are you eating? Cut out probably a lot of processed foods and carbs so that you can maintain your energy and feel productive throughout the whole day. The next energy circle is rhythm. So you want to find a rhythm in your work. As a startup, lots of times we're doing different things at different phases, but you can still find a rhythm. One tip is to find one minimum achievable every day. So you're not creating new goals every day, and it becomes a rhythm of what you need to do maybe for the next 6 weeks. So for me, it's going to be getting surveys, talking to contractors. I'll also need to find contractors. So maybe for 3 weeks, it's just find contractors. The minimum daily product, you could call it the MDP, is interview 5 contractors, implement or summarize what I got, or find 3 other, schedule 5 more appointments. So I just focus on that. And so of course you're going to have your task list of things to do, but that, let's say, core 3 or 4 project time hours, you're going to focus on this MDP, your minimum daily productivity. So you're going to just focus on that minimum daily productivity goal every day, and generally you want to keep it sort of at the same goal for 6 weeks. This helps you create a rhythm of work. The great thing is when you have a rhythm with work, then you don't worry as much about what to do the next day, because you start to feel like you know what you're doing, and it kind of pulls anxiety out of it. And just like when we're dancing, our body wants rhythm. As a human, as energy is rhythm. So we have to have a rhythm in what we're doing. And so having specific goals that we can achieve every day gives us little highs, and then also makes us feel, helps us find a flow, a rhythm, and energy in our work. So that's important. And by having rhythm, you're basically creating structure for yourself. And that's great, because structure is something usually others give to us, and that helps us stay focused and feel like we're making progress, and that there's order to what we're doing. That creates a lot more peace. So finding that rhythm of specific daily productivity goals is great structure. Another tip to finding your rhythm and basically maintaining your energy during your startup phase is planning your day. Okay, so that's obvious, I guess, but sometimes you need to plan your day out time-wise up to 15 minutes, especially if you're going through something that's it gives you a lot of anxiety. So for me, I'm gonna have to start cold calling contractors by myself, and that's gonna give me a lot of anxiety. So I'm gonna have to put 15-minute goals. So not just a daily goal. I'm gonna have to say, okay, in 15 minutes I'm gonna find and call. So in 15 minutes I'm gonna find and call 1 contractor, and in 15 minutes. So I set it up so it's more like a race, and I think less about what I'm doing. Is this person gonna reject me? And I think more about what I need to get done. The next energy circle is connection. Connection, whenever that little moment when we meet someone and they say hi, like what I mentioned about the T-Mobile person, like, oh, hello. That connection really gives you a little bit of energy. So sometimes that's why we go to these meetup groups. That's why we share things with friends. So how can connection help us stay energized with our startup? So one is connecting with other types of energy besides people, nature. So me sitting inside of this, although beautiful apartment, I was connecting with nothing, and I would just get tired from sitting. I felt like I was sitting in a glass box, and it was just horrible. So that killed my energy. I remember in New York City, I'd walk across the street if I saw a plant store just to walk past nature. So that type of energy is connection. Number 2 for connection is have a mentor that helps you stay accountable, who you look up to, and even if you don't involve them so much because they're in a different industry, but if you can just somehow involve them and give them updates, that little connection. For someone like me, okay, I always like to be a student teachers liked, unfortunately. So I'm like, oh, look, this is what I did. And whether they really understood what I did or not, it helped me stay motivated. So feeling accountable to somebody is really important. So find a mentor, find a friend who you can be accountable toward. And if it's an accountability buddy, then make it that way. Maybe find another friend who's a startup, go to a startup meetup, and then say, hey, do you want to just stay in touch? It sounds like we're in the same phase of our business, so that we can support each other through this phase. And that could be a great way. It's like co-working without actually having to pay for the WeWorking price. So I'm really excited about this next tip, which is using connection to create energy through hiring someone. The thing is in our startup phase, we may want to put as little money as possible because we're already sacrificing our time. So find a virtual assistant. I've hired people from the Philippines, and with the right vetting, you can find someone amazing for less than $500 a month. And it takes time and it can be trying, but finding somebody, even if you hire someone and they work for you for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, that creates structure, because you start thinking, okay, I need to set up tasks for them, I need to communicate with them, you got to talk to them, share wins with them, and that's so important. That's probably one of my biggest tips when you're starting out. And lots of times they can take on certain stressful things, maybe make an initial call in a different way because it's not so personal. It's not their startup. So they're able to do it, and then you're able to say to yourself, well, now I need to be a guide of how we do this, so I better do it first. So all of a sudden there's a back and forth. You're handing off work to each other. And instead of feeling like you have to, let's say, have another co-owner, you can just hire someone who helps you get to that next step, create the energy flow, share the high fives, support each other in the lows and the rejections, and you don't have to give any equity away. That's one of my favorite tips, and it really has helped me, because it turns out when I was a little child, someone told me I was bossy. What? Me bossy? So, I mean, okay, I could see it. All right, so I'm recognizing I could be bossy, but it turns out that I work better being a boss. I work better creating structure and directions, and thinking that I'm going to hand the work off to someone who will do the execution. So recognizing that and embracing it just with open arms can be something that, if that's you, then a virtual assistant can be a great way to help you get the energy flowing in your startup and making the progress coming. The final energy circle is giving. So what I like about the lean startup and the methodology of surveying and asking questions is you can really start off with feeling like you're giving and you just want to help this person with their problem with a lot of empathy, and just listen. And when you focus on that, and also you set up the structure in your mind that you are someone who's going to help and you want to give, then it doesn't feel like you're selling. And that's one of the key things to focus on in your initial phases, and why it's great to start off in a surveying, talking to your customer mode. I hope those tips were helpful. And the main thing is I want us to recognize as entrepreneurs that this startup phase is really hard. And that if we find ourselves eating more, like starting to look on our favorite Pinterest website and not making as much productivity, it's not because we're lazy necessarily, it's because we're losing energy. And that can be solved. And it doesn't mean that we're bad entrepreneurs. It means we need to structure how we do things so it's more like a game. I mean, a game gives you little spurts of feedback and positivity and feel goodness, and that creates energy to keep going. So how can we do these little things, such as using the vibrant energy circles, to create more energy with our startup and keep going? So I would love to hear what works for you, because I will be starting my phone calls and cold calling. I will definitely be hiring a virtual assistant to help me. I will definitely be structuring my day, and definitely have a mentor to help me stay accountable and to help soften the blows that I will face. And we're going to face blows not just because someone's going to say, no, I don't want to be surveyed or answer your questions, but we're also going to face blows because we're going to have hypotheses about what our product should be that we came up from our minds, and we may have to face the fact that some of them are not good ideas anymore, are not actually true product market fits. So that can be stressful. So we do really need outside voices to help us get past and really make the hard decisions to get our product and service to something that can be a real business. All right, at the end, I promised that I would share what I ended up doing to get energy, to get past, get my business to that next level. And you could say I bought a business, but it's sort of like that, but not really. And that's not a bad idea. So if you're an entrepreneur and you find that you work best with other people, you can buy a business. You could, let's say you wanted to start a handbag business. What if you bought a business that already had customers, maybe had a staff person or maybe had work, but basically you can just get thrown into the current model and then work from there. So you're doing work, you're fulfilling that being a business owner, but then you're able to bring new ideas incrementally. And I think that is a fantastic idea for a lot of people. And you don't have to feel like you're buying a business and you're doing that business. You can feel like you're buying parts of a business and you're adding it to your new business, but it just gives you that energy. Oh, one other thing. So let's say the other version of that is to start off consulting. So when I started Bumblebee Tennis, I basically was a tennis coach. I taught all over the city. I taught for a tennis club, and I was able to do a lot of things that we talked about. I was able to be around other people who were teaching for a living, around another tennis school, seeing how it worked. I was able to talk to my customers, see what they wanted, but best of all is I was getting so much positivity and feedback, and best of all, paid. Let me tell you, getting paid gives you energy. So if you have to even maintain another job totally different from what you're doing, and that gives you energy as you build up, that can work. But even better, if you can get paid for kind of doing what you need to do, but as a consultant or coach, then you can learn and then basically shift slowly, either let go of your clients or veer your clients toward a standardized product. So I hope those tips were helpful, and I look forward to sharing with you in the journey as I start to go on it for my new startup, and hopefully that'll start happening in the next few months. Share your ideas. I would love to know how I can also make my journey more energetic.